Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm just going to do a quick video here, and I was going to ask if people agreed or disagreed with this, with all the craziness that's been going on with this COVID-19. You got the government giving out stimulus checks. $1,200 is supposed to help the average person survive and make it through this and pay their bills. And I was just sitting there thinking, if anybody knows me, I'm huge on cash flow, residual income. I firmly believe if the work you're doing doesn't create it, it's just a waste of time. Money that comes in, you're going to spend it, then you're left with nothing. So I bought into the concept of having residual income, working for residual income, making way less now to have a pipeline of money that comes later. And now with the COVID-19, I think that's by far the best decision I ever made because the income continues to come in. So my question is, and I was thinking about this as I'm seeing all the craziness going on and people, the unemployment rate's going up. I really feel for the people that aren't able to go back to work. Like, we're not allowed to go back to work in many different industries, and people have families. People have food that needs to be put on the table. People have mortgages to pay, landlords to pay, bills to pay, car payment. There's all these payments. So I don't know how a $1,200 check is gonna save everybody from going under. But if that's the case, obviously that'll help pay some bills now, but next month, where's that money going to come from? So I was sitting there going a little bit deeper than that, and I was thinking about the power of cash flow much further than that. And I've never understood why there's so much evil in the world, and people go along with it, right? Like, I think back to World War II. I'm like, why didn't people say anything? Or you look at like police brutality, like a very, very clear example of it. And like, why are all these police going along with this? How come nobody's saying something and standing up about it? Or you see these corrupt politicians, or you see, a whistleblower that comes out, and we look at him like, wow, he's so brave that he did that. He risked his career to come out and tell us this information. And I've always looked at that like, how come that's not just normal? Why aren't there more whistleblowers? Why aren't there more police standing up for what's right, right? In California, they're writing tickets to people for being in their car to watch the sunset, right? They're not close to anybody. They're following the rules of COVID-19, and the police are out there writing tickets. Like, shame on those police. And I have to believe that not all of them agree with what they're doing. Not all of Germany bought into that, but people can't say anything. And in this specific example, I'm going to stick to the police writing tickets to somebody who's supposed to be sheltered up at home for months at a time. They got enough stress in their life. They're trying to separate from people, and they want to go watch the sunset, right? I do not believe that every police officer that wrote a ticket believed what they were doing was right or was in the best interest of everybody. They're following the rules. They're in their own car. Or these people going to church down in the South, sitting in their car listening to church service through an FM radio frequency separated from others. Police are down there writing tickets, right? I do not believe every one of those police officers felt right about doing that. So why don't they say it? Why don't they come out about it? Why don't doctors come out and speak out against pharmaceuticals when there's very, very clear conflict of interest between money and the actual outcome of health? There's lots of examples. We won't get into it. The answer is the money. They have a job. We've been trained not to have cash flow. The average person, nobody's a stupid word, the average person doesn't have cash flow. If their job stops, the money stops. Their livelihood stops. The bills stop getting paid. They could be homeless. Their kids could not get food next week, right? So people have to shut their mouth because they can't risk their job. They don't have any insurance in terms of cash flow. And people talk about, there's two ways of looking at it. Money can be the root of evil. The lack of money could be the root of evil as well. And I'm definitely, for the most part, on the side of lack of money is the root of evil. Right? So if somebody's scared to do what's right because the fear of losing their job will create a lack of money, that's not good. But if you had cash flow and you could say, hey, this isn't right, and I'm going to say something because I don't rely on what I'm doing right now for the well-being of my family. I will be okay if I say something and I lose my job. That's okay. I'm going to do what's right over what makes me earn money. Imagine if financial freedom and residual income, at least a basic amount of residual income, if $1,200 is supposed to save this country, a one-time $1,200 check, I can't even imagine that the average person was taught to have at least a base minimum of $1,500 in residuals. What would that do for the world if every one of you watching this knew that at least $1,500 was coming in every single month? Why isn't that taught in school? Because they want us to, a paycheck is slavery. It's modern day slavery. We have to do what they want us to do, or they can pull the plug on the money. You're completely dependent. You can't even do what's right over, am I going to lose my job over this? Because how am I going to feed the family if I do? Right? So I encourage everybody during this time, take a little bit of time. Get that board game right there. That is the real deal. That's Robert Kiyosaki. It's a board game about cash flow. It's real life. Read some books. Get some financial intelligence. Don't ever get caught in this position again where you're dependent on a $1,200 check, or you're stressed out and don't know how you're going to make it because you can't go back to work, or maybe you lost your job. Even when the economy opens up, you're like, what am I going to do? Am I going to get my job back? I really feel for the people in that position, but I also invite you to think about, in the future, never allowing that to happen again. Cash flow would change the world if society taught the value of it and why it's important. And I truly believe, and I didn't really think about this till last night, I started thinking about this video, people would be able to do what's right if they had cash flow. There would be more whistleblowers. There would be more good cops busting on the ones that are harming people. There would be more good politicians that can do what's right because they're not a politician for the money, because they already have it. Nonprofit organizations, imagine if nonprofit organizations, it was a standard that 100% of the money went to the cause, because the CEOs and admin of that company didn't do it for a paycheck. They already had their own cash flow, and they did it because they wanted to actually pursue the cause. Think about that. I invite you to think about how you can go create a little cash flow for yourself, and don't ever get caught in this position again where if something happened, you saw how quick this happened. If life pulls the plug on the money, what position will you be in next time? Take care, guys.